All right, we are live here with Bill, who has just started getting into the wholesale space. Bill, if you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks for having me. Very excited about this. So, my name is Bill Mitsef. Currently a mortgage lender. So that's kind of my 9 to 5 per se. Recently got out of the military this past November after 10 years. So went into lending and then wanted to have an end goal though of full time investing. So have a few rentals right now, which is good passive income, but it's not a lot of capital. So for the time being, I was considering wholesaling or flipping, but really just wanted to get to the root of everything. And so if you could find off market properties that are good deals, then the rest is history pretty much. So.
Okay. Has the market for on the lending side slowed down?
It's actually the opposite right now. It's really, really crazy. So this past winter, so winters are usually the slowest times of the years. Usually, but even when rates have come up a little bit, so right now, they're still fairly high compared to a couple years ago. But right now, at least in our market, it's PCS season with the military, and it's springtime, so just families are just buying and selling in general. So right now, the market is actually super hot again. So people are buyers are putting offers in over asking again, waiving inspections, waiving certain things, and still not getting their offers accepted. So
Really?
yeah,
Wow,
it's
that is
it's
wild.
yeah, it's like night and day. So now every market's different. I've mentioned that to a lot of people, and so depending on what location you're in, it might be completely different. But at least where we're at in North Carolina, it's very hot again.
Wow, that's wild. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
That's the first time that I asked you about that.
yeah.
What kind of rates are they on these VA loans are they doing right now?
Yep. So we do specialize in the VA loan, home loan benefit for military and veterans, but we also do all other residential loans as well. But for VA, the last time I checked, I believe it was high fives to mid sixes roughly, and then conventional is usually a little bit higher than that. But it still depends on a borrower's credit score, credit history, their debt to income ratio, et cetera, et cetera. So but yeah, the time of twos, threes, even fours are in the past, and we're probably not going to see them for a really long
Yeah,
time.
not for a while, right?
Yeah,
Real quick before we hop into the wholesaling, because the biggest thing probably when it comes to lending, um, for the military guys especially, it might not be the income, but what if their credit is shit? How do they fix that? How long does it take to fix that? What are the steps they
yeah,
need to do?
yeah. So credit's definitely the one of the main obstacles for a lot of buyers, whether it's military, veterans, or non-military. Credit is extremely important, and it literally is your track record on you borrowing money, essentially. For the VA loan specifically, there is no credit score minimum requirement. So according to the VA, there's no minimum credit score requirement. However, we still, all lenders still look at the credit history if you've had missed payments, foreclosures, bankruptcies, etc. Now, tips to possibly increase it. So I consider credit almost like weight loss. So it's really quick, to lose it. So essentially, or sorry, for weight. So weight takes a while to actually get it off, but then a couple meals here and there, and you're back up to that weight. Similar to credit, so you could take a year, 2, 3, 4 years to rebuild your credit, but one or two incidents can just wipe it badly. So it really comes down to credit history and credit usage. So showing a good history to a lender is really important. And then also usage. So we recommend staying 30% or under for usage. So definitely don't recommend maxing out all your credit cards. Of course, trying to make the monthly payments. Personally, I would recommend not making the minimum monthly payment. Whether it's a small charge or a big charge, try to pay them all off, the balance all off at the end of the month, and then really it's just time. Over time, it'll get better.
Yeah. Okay, that's definitely good info. If anyone does hop on here and you are seeing this, drop any kind of questions you got, lender related, getting a regular loan, drop them. Bill can answer those for you. But let's move on to the hot, fresh topic of
Yeah.
wholesaling. So you wanted to get into wholesaling, try something a little bit different. Maybe it's outside of your comfort zone because you started cold calling. So run us through that. What was that
Yeah.
like?
What's funny too is I'm someone that I avoid confrontation when possible. Like I am not someone that loves confrontation. Like, even when it comes to rental properties, I have a management company for just a few rentals because I don't want to deal with that. So yeah, I know you probably hate that, but yeah. So really, I again, I wanted to find the source of everything. So of course, I immerse myself in YouTube and all social media and podcasts and everything to learn. And of course, like networking events, meetups, conferences, things like that. Just trying to absorb it all. But then most people just keep it in their head, so you have to take action. So, in my off time when I'm not doing lending stuff, I am cold calling. So on the weekends, I essentially drive for dollars. So I've wasted a lot of gas and I put a lot of miles on my cars. But I mean, that's how I found this last one.
When did you start?
So I've never been like full force yet. All right.
Yeah,
I've never
I
been full
understand.
force into it. So I, for example, like on the weekends, if I'm not doing anything as a family, we're not doing anything, I'll go drive for a couple hours here and there, and then probably I don't know 1 to 3 hours roughly per day calling, so cold calling. So yeah, I mean it's not a lot, and of course if I could do it full time and put all my efforts into it, I'm sure it'd be easier to scale. But at least for right now, I'm just kind of testing the waters a little bit.
Here. Whoops.
Oh, there you
Bill,
go.
can you
You
hear
hopped
me?
off.
So, yeah, no, I hit a button or something, man.
Oh
Sorry
no.
about that. I didn't mean to leave you hanging there.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
I was like, uh-oh, am I the only one here?
Yeah, right. So you said you couple hours a day you got started and then
Yeah.
boom, you finally hit gold on that one
Hmm.
that we went and looked at 2 weeks ago, a week
Yeah,
ago.
roughly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, a week or two ago. And what was
Hmm.
that one like? What was the feeling just to hear someone say, "Oh yeah, I'm kind of interested."
Yeah. So that one actually, I called the seller, cold called the seller, and actually about one property, and he said, "No, I'm not interested in that." But I always use a follow up. Okay, well, hey, do you have any other properties in this area or land that you would consider selling? And he's like, "Yeah, I actually have a property." So it wasn't the target one I was going after, but just because I essentially branched out in that conversation, that's where I got the lead from that other one about 2 weeks ago. So, and it is interesting, I'm like, whenever that happened, I'm like, oh crap, now what do I do? I do have a script per se. So I have like notes on my computer and I had all that in template, but that was the first time a seller was like, yes, I'm open to selling off market. Like I've never heard that before. So that was very new to me.
Hearing
So
that will change the hunger of the game completely because now you
yes.
know it's possible.
Yeah.
And flash forward another week, now we're at today, and you call me,
Hmm.
hey, come out to the property, and this guy wants to sell too. Okay, well, let's go take
Yeah.
a look at it.
Yep. Yeah.
So
And I really think it comes down to the type. So whether or not a seller is motivated, that's probably the number one thing. And then what type of motivation it is. So personally, I've whenever I've done driving for dollars, I see that they're absentee. So they're essentially rental properties or vacant properties, etc. I think that for right now, being that I'm getting into it, is a little bit easier to speak with the seller on versus like, probate or foreclosure. That's a little bit higher end than what I'm getting to right now.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely. The absentee are going to be the easy, low hanging fruit that you can
right.
chase after.
Mm-hmm.
And, like the guy today, obviously, you let me kind of handle the negotiations and
Yeah.
running him through that. And it was pretty easy. He was,
Yeah.
he was low key chill, but motivated to sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Almost
obviously didn't show it. He wasn't much for a lot of words.
right.
But a
Yeah.
situation like that, that's exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah. And with that guy from today, with the seller from today, that was a voicemail. So I called earlier this morning, no answer. I left a lot of voicemails on people's phones this morning, and then I received a text message 2 to 3 hours later, and this person said, "Hey, are you still considering putting offers on?" And I said, "Yes. What's your address? Everything." So really, it was him reaching back to me, which is
Right.
awesome.
Yeah. Normally it's the F offs when they reach back to you, or
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
I'm interested, or it's a wrong person.
Right.
Might be a family person. But a lot of people that are gonna watch this, they think that there is a secret formula to get started. Some secret script, secret formula, some
Yeah.
high level ticket that you need to buy to go to
Yep.
someone's mastermind, to go to
Hmm.
to go to the conference, to go to the
Hmm.
coaching, to buy from the guru. And is
Yeah.
that true?
I mean, let me tell you how flashy, how non-flashy this was actually. I, I literally was in my living room in front of my computer in sweatpants and a sweatshirt with my phone and my computer and just a little bit of time. That's literally all it was. And it's like it's not they're not even hard or complex questions either. It's like, hey, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. Are you interested in selling this property at this address? Yes, no, whatever. Of course, it all comes down to numbers, I think. So, like you mentioned earlier, so yeah, I've gotten a whole bunch of FUs and no, and stop calling me and put me on the do not
Yeah.
call list. That's fine. I've actually gotten past that. So like, I don't really care about those now. So each time I get those, it's like, okay, I'm closer to getting a deal then.
The more of those that you get, that means the better off you are, because
Mm-hmm.
you're rolling along through your list and the yeses are coming.
Right,
Right.
right.
So you might have called the first 5 people and got that one last week. Someone
Mm-hmm.
never knows whether they
Yeah.
call the first 10, the first 300, the first
Mm-hmm.
1,000. I guess there's a little bit of complexity with pulling the list, what list you want, where you're targeting, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you're pulling a list of newly built homes in the last 2 years, 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
5 years, there's probably not a lot of motivation there, because
Right.
what
Mm-hmm.
what needs to happen. So the guy today, he's lived in the property for the last,
I think you said
not
25.
not the last 2 years, but the
Right,
last
right, right.
20
Yeah.
20 to 25 years he's lived in the
Yes.
property. He's never updated it.
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
Perfect. That's
Mm-hmm.
motivation on our end, because you've
Yeah.
never updated it. It's not at market value. It's
Mm-hmm.
not it's not at the top, so that's a qualifier. The one we went to last week, and if you guys are wondering, these are double wides that we're talking about, a trailer, a double wide, whatever you want to call it, manufactured home. That's the two subject properties that we're talking about here. So for a property like the first one or the second one, the first one, he was more than willing. He's in Chicago, we're in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go in it at your own risk type of thing. He has no ties to the property, doesn't even care. I don't even think he's motivated by money. But then we find out he's what, 80, 82 years
85.
old,
Yeah.
85 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so he's not even motivated by money at that point.
Yeah.
He'll let his
It,
kids deal with it.
and I think to caveat on that, so finding a benefit for them too, so both of these are vacant properties. They're not generating income. They're, these owners are still paying taxes on them, still paying utilities. The one today was utilities for the last 2 to 3 years, which is crazy. So it's draining their accounts rather than building it up. So it's literally a win-win. So that's really what motivates me, is like, yeah, of course it's good for us in the wholesale side, but really on their side, it's really good too.
That one, the one we went to today, this is just a little pro tip, right? Because I learned the hard way. This
Mm-hmm.
guy hasn't been there in 2 years. He left the electrical on, which is kind of dangerous because fires can start, especially
Yeah.
with especially with mobile homes. They're like dime a dozen for fires starting.
Mm.
Ideally, if a home's going to be vacant that long, just shut the power off.
Right.
Maybe he left the lights on so that no one breaks into it. Totally understand that. But one key thing that I did today was I asked if I could shut the water off. I had a feeling we were going to be able to contract the property, but I've had a property when we got it was a flip property we did on another double wide, and not necessarily the same situation, but it flooded. Water company turns the water on. It
Oh.
floods the entire underneath the mobile home, and mobile homes have these plastic underpinning barriers.
Mm-hmm.
It flooded all the insulation in
Oh,
that
wow.
because the
Wow.
washing machine water outputs.
Damn. And it was not
So
something that you did, it was somebody else that did it.
no, they didn't shut it off.
Really?
So now every time I go through, rather than go and make sure everything's turned off so a
Yeah.
pipe doesn't
Yeah.
burst, I just shut it off at the main under the house.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
said, "Okay, yeah, that's fine."
Mm-hmm.
And then he proceeds to tell us, "Oh yeah, we got a bunch of shark bites in this underneath the house because of that piping, that
Mm-hmm.
old gray polybutylene piping."
Right.
So it's I mean, we going from going from your side on the lending side to what you're about to dive into now is like a complete 180.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it
Is
is.
it
Yeah, I was gonna say, and especially with the VA loan too, because that's kind of what we specialize in. So the VA is, I mean, the purpose is to provide, quality housing for military members and veterans. So move-in ready homes, so beautiful homes, move-in ready homes, and then wholesaling is the exact opposite, like you're saying. It's like the worse the better, essentially.
I'm telling you, when you get deeper into this, you're going to see the craziest stuff, the
Mm-hmm.
craziest backwoods country
Yeah.
people that you would never think they live like that. You would never think so many animals could fit in a house.
Mm-hmm.
You It's just amazing. Holes in floors and people are living there. Like, can laugh about it. It's
Yeah.
funny, but at the same time, you have to keep it together when you're going in here,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, we're here to solve problems as
Right.
wholesalers, realtors. They don't want to mess with these houses. You think a
Mm-hmm.
realtor wants to go mess with that house that we went
No.
to today?
No.
No,
And
because
on the flip side, I don't think the seller would want to list it on market. Like, it's like you said, he doesn't want to fix it up. He has it. There's a whole bunch of stuff in it. Like, it's an off market property.
even if they sold it as is, the realtor would still want them at a minimum to clean it out.
Mm, yeah.
And then he's got a
Yeah.
million people walking in and out through the house. It just doesn't
Hmm.
make sense.
Right.
I'm flipping a condo right now, and somebody asked me yesterday. They commented after I got off the feed. They'd commented. Let's see if I can find it. They pretty much asked, because I bought the condo for 43. We're putting 8,200 into it. My agent that I've used before, she thinks 110 to 115. She wants to start at 115.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm not even pressing that. I would be fine with 110, 105.
Nice.
Just
Hmm.
offload it, right?
Yep.
The guy who commented, his main question was, why wouldn't the seller just list it as is at 70?
Hmm.
Good question. I don't know. I have no idea. When we wholesale, we don't want to put Pace Morby says this a lot. We don't want to put our mind in the seller's head.
Okay.
We don't need to.
Yeah.
We need to figure out what works. If they
Mm-hmm.
agree to it, if not, negotiate on it.
Gotcha. Yep.
So another situation where I'm not putting my mind in a seller's head. I'm just educating them. Got a call after we got back today for 2 duplexes side by side that this guy built in 2010.
Hmm.
And of course, 2010, that means it's what, 10, 13. So it's like 13 years old.
Yeah.
So at 13 years old, this guy got the best life out of the property with 0 problems.
Wow.
So what's about to go out? The HVAC,
Yeah.
the other HVAC, the other HVAC, and the other HVAC.
All the CapEx items.
Along with all the wear and tear of the properties. Windows, you can probably get away with the windows for another 10 years, I'm sure, if they're nice vinyl windows. So, of course, what does he want? Top dollar.
Yeah.
Any investor, they're not going to pay top dollar. Guess what? He's got the properties paid for. So now I'd switch over the conversation. You don't like the cash offer price because it's let's see what he wanted, $50,000 less. Okay, cool, that's fine. You don't have to like it, but at the rate that I'm going to pay for money today, it doesn't make sense because your property doesn't cash flow.
Yeah.
So that's the quickest way. I don't know if you have any interest in flipping as you go and grow.
Yeah, I mean, eventually. Yeah.
So the cost of money right now is definitely, you got to run your numbers, right? So then I hit him with, okay, well, if you don't do that, how about you own or finance it and you just carry it back? He's got 25 other properties. He's downsizing. He's 59 years old. I don't think he was necessarily motivated enough to, and I wish I should start recording these calls. I don't think he was necessarily motivated enough hungry enough to take the deal. We always want to ask what they're going to use the money for after they sell. In this case, he was getting into farming or something like that, which is totally weird at 59, why you would get into any type of farming. So what I like to do on the seller finance, because I do have a few, I got the 14 unit and 2 single family houses that are seller finance. I like to give them 2 to 3 options on what we can do.
Okay.
And in my head, I like to think, how old is the seller? So I just flat out ask him. I know he's 59 because I asked him. Most people, they're not even going to think to ask him. So one of my other sellers, let me pause on that story. One of my other sellers was 70. He's not waiting 20 years. He's not waiting 20 years to get his money.
Right.
So he needs to get rid of he needed to get rid of the property. So in 5 years, we do a balloon payment. So what a balloon is, if you're watching this and you don't know, is after the 5 years, we owe the balance in full. So for this one, these 2 duplexes that are about an hour and a half away from here, I'm not too big on the small town that these are in, but I know we've done at least one wholesale deal there. So I hit him up with, okay, he wanted 240K. I said, we'll do 240,000 purchase price, 24,000 down, and then $1,000 a month for 18 years. Well, if we're looking at that, that is 0% interest. So 240, 24K down, 1,000 a month for 18 years. So at that one, I don't even say 0% interest. I just tell him $1,000 a month, 18 years. Second option, and is he really going to wait 18 years? Probably not. And I already knew that, but we need to give him 3 choices.
Yeah.
The next one, 240, 13K down, 3% interest. That brings my payment to about $957 with a 5-year balloon. Okay. Third option, same thing, 3% interest, 10-year balloon, and $957. And Bill, this is kind of for you too, because you're going to come across this with these owner finances. That guy today, we probably could have worked him into owner financing. I know he made the comment that the neighbor wanted to buy it or whatever, but I think we probably could have convinced him. We probably could have convinced him, but at the same time, the property needs $35,000 worth of work, and
Hmm.
it's not worth keeping that money in there for that place.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
go ahead.
question for you about that. So, I guess like how is it just conversing with the seller on whether or not they want just a lump sum or they want like the owner finance, payments every month? Like, how do you come to that point in the conversation?
Yeah, most of them, and I tell them, hey, these can be negotiated. If he says I need more money a month, more of a payment a month, or he doesn't like the down payment. Well, the down payment, I
Hmm.
don't have an issue going higher. My monthly payment, I do have a problem going higher if
Hmm.
it violates my cash flow.
Right.
So I took how I kind of underwrote it real quick. I hopped off the call with him so I could do my math and hop on the computer and look at the calculator and see what I needed to be. But option one, he makes 240,000. Okay. Option two, he makes 273,000, waiting 5 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Option three, he waits 10 years and he makes 300,000.
Wow.
So that's the power of interest, and that's only at a
Yeah.
3%.
Mm-hmm.
That's not at
That's
at
crazy.
today's rates when you have an investment loan and you're at a 7.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that's something to think about. You got any other questions on that?
Well, I think also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but so the owner finance or seller finance negotiations are more likely to get accepted with a landlord tenant or a landlord seller, right? Because they're kind of used to that money coming in, and so versus like a regular homeowner, right?
So I would like to think that, but in my experience, out of the few that I've done here, it's been either or.
Okay.
So one of them, the owner lived there. He moved out. It wasn't rented. It was sitting vacant. Listed on the market, couldn't sell.
Wow.
The next one, she had a tenant in there, trashed it. She'd bought the property cash with inheritance money or divorce or something where she was trying to do the right thing. She was really
Hmm.
trying. She put the money in, threw a friend of a friend of a friend in there. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
They trashed the hell out of it. So then I got to come in. We rehab it up nicely,
Hmm.
and now she gets just a little sliver every month.
Hmm.
Honestly, I was just looking at it. I don't even know what it is. I'm surprised she would even sell it to me. I think we gave her
Hmm.
12K down, 3% interest for 15 years,
Hmm.
and I think the payment's like 250 a month.
Okay.
Maybe it's 300 a month. If it's 300, that's because 50 goes to the servicing company. So I think she gets like 250 a month to
Okay.
do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's better than what she was making, right?
Hmm.
For a property to get off her hands.
So
So
without getting too complex with this question, so when you do those, does the mortgage stays, or I guess it depends on if they have a mortgage, but if they do have a mortgage, it stays in their name, right?
if they have a mortgage, then it would be considered a sub 2.
Oh, that's a sub two. Okay.
Totally different. We really don't we're actually about to get under contract here as soon as this guy gets me a payoff, and then we're going to assign it. We're under contract on another sub 2, but we're wholesaling that one.
Okay.
All that is we're taking over. Here's the loan.
Hmm.
You have it. Now I'm going to take it over, and it's going to get deeded to me,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
still going to be on your credit.
Okay.
Okay. So a lot of sellers, they really don't like that.
Yeah.
I do like to be upfront with them if I'm negotiating a sub 2 contract. We had another sub 2 that fell through just because the house was shot and it didn't make sense on the numbers. The one that we are wholesaling. So I asked them straight up, "Are you guys going to buy another house right away? Like, what's the deal?" Because they're willing to give the house over
Hmm.
and walk away with zero money.
Wow.
So because I knew the house was trashed, I reached out to a local person in our market, and I knew it needed a lot of work. I don't need to be greedy. hey, if you want it, 5K.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5K entry fee. All the payments are caught up, plus closing costs. So you're at 7K and you can own a property.
Wow.
Plus the monthly payments of $800 or whatever
Mm-hmm.
for the life of the loan.
Nice.
But that's a little bit different, a little bit more complex.
Mm-hmm.
If we're comparing sub two transactions to seller finance are gonna win all day long because at the end of the day, the bank can call the loan due.
Okay. That's pretty
Have you
important.
heard that before?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're in lending, so a little bit different side of
Yeah.
lending, but that's a side of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Right.
Like people do my law firm that we use, they won't do a sub two VA because something's written up,
Yeah.
whatever. But there's another one that is actually doing this one because this one's a VA and they're going forward with the transaction. I don't know,
Hmm.
but I know it's possible because
Yeah.
people do them.
Hmm.
What else you got?
So yeah. So question about scaling. So I know we're kind of like branching from the last
We
topic,
can
but
take it. We can take it however you want it.
so yeah. So right now, just like I was saying, like literally just like in my spare time, just doing a few cold calls here, driving for dollars here. Um, I think also, so I've talked to some people about VAs and especially those that are overseas. Um, I think, right now, being that I'm the one that's calling and actually talking to the seller, I think there's a difference as far as like whether it's accent or just me wanting it more than a VA. The VA is sure they're to get paid, but it's just it's different when it comes from me. So how would you recommend, like, if I'm starting to gain traction here, like what would be the next step? Would it be just, hey, put in more time? Would it be to delegate it to a VA? Would it be
No.
more marketing channels? Like I guess I don't know what the next step would be to scale.
Based on the fact that you brought 2 deals in the last 2 weeks, definitely double down on the cold calling.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's how you're gonna scale it. There's no point in diverting time, attention, and money
Mm-hmm.
in another channel before you get
Mm-hmm.
this one up and running off the
Okay.
ground. I can
Makes
tell you
sense.
after hiring dozens of we had a new VA start our acquisitions and take over today. We've had to
Hmm.
cycle through 3 of them in the last few months, and it's such a waste of time
Really.
having to
Hmm.
retrain,
Hmm.
relearn everything. This one, she seems pretty good. She's
Hmm.
based in Egypt,
Okay.
but
Yep.
I mean, we've had dozens of VAs,
Hmm.
not all at once, but learn the craft, learn the
Right.
skill, and then honestly, you might be better off hiring an American,
Hmm.
hiring someone with our same that talks the same as us
Yeah.
in the South.
Mm-hmm.
That might be your best option.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
talking to you versus talking to someone in the Philippines is going to be 2
Mhm.
totally different things.
Right.
Nothing against anyone in the Philippines, but that's
Mm-hmm.
just is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that I've definitely heard of people in the Philippines or other countries that have very similar accents and just sound very similar. Um, but I mean, I really do think though um, that sellers can kind of pick it out as far as, oh, is this just some like call center versus like the approach that I make. It's like, oh, I'm actually the home buyer in the Rayford area. They're like, oh, really? That the guy actually today when I called him back from his text response, he asked where I was. I was like, yeah, I'm in Rayford. He's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm a few minutes from the property. So he liked that. It just, I don't know. And then being able to quickly go to the property on the ground, that was super beneficial too.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to see as you lose deals, time will kill the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not down to the hours, but days. Days
Yeah.
definitely kills deals.
Hmm.
If we're not, most of what we do on our side, me personally, if a lead comes in, it's hot, they're ready,
Hmm.
we're signing, we're a done deal, and it's automatically sent to the law firm within 24 to 48.
That's awesome. Hmm.
So that's what I need to get you to see
Hmm.
is we can push him the best we can. Like the first lead, obviously he's old. We can't really push him. He's in
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yep.
So the first one we sent the contract out for. The
Hmm.
second one, I had all intentions of going over there, offering him 40K. As soon as you told me the area, that's another thing. When you start to get to know the area better, you'll
Hmm.
know you'll know the prices you need to be at.
Okay.
So most
Hmm.
double wides, like the first one we went to way out there in Rayford,
Hmm.
we were at the same price for that one actually, weren't we?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so we were at the same price. They both needed almost the same amount of work. I
Hmm.
guess the same, probably about the same dollar amount because the one needs a new driveway, the other one needs a new HVAC. So
Hmm.
we're probably about the same, within a few $1,000 difference. And the one way out there had an acre of land.
Yep.
This one a little closer to town, a little more desirable, give or take. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on also.
Hmm. Yeah, and another thing about just asking the questions in the conversation. So, um, I mentioned this to you before, but the gentleman from 2 weeks ago, so uh, he told me about land. So I still can't figure it out as far as where it is on Google Maps. He's really difficult to understand. But he says he has land and he wants to sell it. That's maybe for another time after we get the main contract down, But
Yes.
it is cool though. Like I think once you build rapport with the seller and they know like, hey, you're serious because these people just sent over the contract. He's like, by the way, I also have this for sale. So that's pretty cool too, how it kind of branches sometimes.
So the best case that you're ever gonna find, honestly, um, we had brought to us, I think, a month and a half ago now. Guy is over his dad's properties. He's got a power of attorney. Everything's legal and legit, submitted, recorded at the county, and he was offloading his dad's properties. So his dad, I wish I would have met him about another year ago because he owned the block and then some. So
Hmm.
multiple. At one point, his dad had like 50. So he had four. I think he had 4 or 5 left. So this is another thing when it comes to trust. This is where we double closed 2 of them. So we double closed it because I don't want him asking questions. He's the POA,
Hmm.
smart guy. I don't need him asking questions on the closing statement who our Hispanic and cash buyers are. It,
Hmm.
it just doesn't make sense. Who are the 2 buyers for these 2 properties? We closed them on the same day.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll spend the extra money. We'll double close it, pay the closing costs once. The buyer can pay it on the back end. Totally cool. And now, guess what? He knows we're legit.
Hmm.
I ask him, hey, I do a follow up after we close, like a week later. Hey, you want to sell the other ones? Yeah, sure. Okay, what do you want? I want 60 for this one, 45 for this one.
Wow.
Well, we'll do 45 for this one, 45 for this one. You already know we can close on it. So
Nice.
on the
Nice.
24th of this month, the tenants are getting out of there,
Hmm.
and we'll have transacted 4 houses with them in total.
Hmm.
I think we'll make 10, 20, 30, 40. So about 40,000.
Really?
Forty
Wow.
thousand. One transaction, one seller.
Yeah. Damn.
Not one transaction, four
Right. Right. Right.
transactions.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, so we
wild.
make like 40. One of them
Hmm.
we made more. In the 2 houses, like these things were an investor didn't even want these. So that's why she's not on this one right now, but my wife, she handles the dispo for the business, and she transacts with all the people. Like these were, I think one was 500, the other one's probably like 650 square foot
Hmm.
houses, so super small,
Right.
super rough, not ideal, but they were cheap. Like we're okay dispoing the cheap ones and making a little change and keeping it moving.
Hmm. Damn.
So it's kind of like, it's kind of a little niche.
Yeah. Yep. No, you definitely have your system down, and your end buyers exactly like. So I had a question as far as the, it might be a little too personal. If it is, tell me to
Go
screw
ahead.
off. But for example, the transaction where you're selling, or you have four, so let's say 40,000. So what would you do with that money? Like, would you personally want to use it to then flip, or use it to market more, or just stash it in your savings? Like, how would you best use that money to keep
I
going,
would
I
def
guess?
I would definitely. Okay, are we coming from a point where I
Or
don't have like anything to work with?
or
Like, is
or
that is
or,
that
or a trip to Thailand.
is that we're gonna have to double that, man. That was expensive. No, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, let's do two scenarios. So, like, a newbie like myself versus someone like yourself that's been in the game.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it towards more properties.
Okay.
Anything that fuels the end goal of, I call it the end goal. Anything that fuels my target of 100 doors.
Oh,
So
okay. Hmm.
whatever we need. Now, obviously, we got to take taxes out because it's not like doing a refinance.
Right.
But if I account for that and say, hey, 40K, set aside 20, 25% for taxes. Um, we could put that in a separate account,
Hmm.
or we could roll it back in. And then when the time comes to pay the taxes, now you don't want to wholesale $300,000 and be hit with a massive tax
Right.
bill at the end of the year, right? Because you failed to plan.
Hmm.
So that's what I would do. I would roll it back into the properties, into the long-term holds,
Okay.
ideally.
Okay.
Now, if I didn't have, if I was brand new, not experienced, I probably would set up an account at the bank for taxes and just put it in there, or start talking to your CPA and get set
Hmm.
up for estimated quarterly tax payments.
Okay.
So that's something when I started my business that I didn't do, and then I started making more money, and my
Mm-hmm.
tax bill grew, and uh, and now every quarter, every year, my
Hmm.
money gets drafted out, and maybe I owe at the end of the year, maybe I get a refund. This year, since we got all the properties, since we got all a lot more properties than I had the previous filing year, I should have a lot more depreciation
Hmm.
to work with.
Nice. Nice.
Now, so again, the
Oh.
new person who maybe they don't have a high income job, maybe they have to live off it. If you have to live off it, you have to live off it.
Hmm.
Not all of it, but live off a chunk, invest a chunk, and then save the other little chunk for taxes.
Okay. Yeah, actually, yeah, taxes. That's I'm sure that's something that a lot of people forget. And like you said from the get go, like that was not a main focus for you when you first started. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
super important.
yeah, most definitely.
Hmm.
So let me back up what I said there just a little bit. So if we're talking specifically wholesaling, because I said my side because I'm long-term rental, long-term rental, long-term rental.
Hmm.
But if we're just saying wholesaling, let's say you make that 40, you need to set aside some to fuel back into the business for
Right.
marketing.
Hmm.
Obviously, cold calling is cheap. Eventually, you will move to other channels. Maybe you'll
Hmm.
start texting. Maybe you'll start doing mailers. Maybe you'll start doing, whatever else. Maybe you'll start doing Facebook ads, Google ads, starting spending real dollars that
Hmm.
can make or break you then. Um, Set aside some for marketing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
If you don't market, when you can master how to get inbound leads in any business, that's going to keep you alive and winning.
Right.
You're not going to go hungry if you know
Hmm.
what you're doing. So
So.
40K definitely, that's
Hmm.
definitely enough to stash a little bit away
Hmm.
to start your marketing campaign.
Okay.
We're actually starting postcards. She just got off the call with them. this morning, and we're going to spend, we've never done it before.
Hmm.
Full disclosure, we've never done postcards before. I've heard that they work. Everything works. If you do it long enough, you do it
Yeah.
right. So we're going to spend, she said 5,800 a month for, I
Oh,
think, 6 or 7 months.
oh, jeez.
So
Holy cow.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
5,800. She talked to the guy today, and we can expect a 1% response rate,
Okay.
right? So 1%, we're spending 50. I don't know what it was, 5,200.
Hmm.
Uh, percent of 5,200 postcards. 1% is 52. Is that right? That must be right. So 1% of that's 52, and then 33% is calling us and telling us to take us off the list. The other ones say F off, and then the other ones should be qualifiable if we're
Okay.
going what the sales rep says. But he's a
Yeah.
sales rep, so we don't know. But we
Yeah.
can track it. That's no worries. It's pretty
Nice.
easy to ask somebody where they heard about us
Hmm.
and just mark it down in a CRM on Podio and say,
Yeah.
okay, well, this made sense, this didn't.
There you
So
go.
5,800 for 6 months, a month for 6 months. Put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
Gonna
Yeah.
work or it's not gonna work.
Hey, Ryan, really quick. Even though my phone is plugged in, it says 20% for some reason. I don't know what. Maybe this is like draining it still somehow. If I leave, that's why.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, no
so,
problem.
but yeah, as far as the mailers go, the postcards. So I mean, if you get one deal, I'm sure that covers that monthly expense. So then anything more than one deal, which is likely, then it's a better return on your money. So that seemed it would probably it would work then.
Yeah, one deal probably, that'd be tight. If in our market, you know, depends on the level of housing. The level of housing that I think we're going to get on these
Hmm.
things is probably like what we looked at today, maybe
Hmm.
something like that. These aren't the
Okay.
high ends where you can get a $20,000-$30,000 assignment fee like
Right. That's
in
true.
Charlotte,
Hmm.
in the bigger cities, in
Hmm.
Raleigh. Like you can factor in those bigger spreads, but on something that's 100K ARV,
Hmm.
you're going to take 30 off the top, you're at 70. An
Hmm.
investor still needs to make money. So if you take
Yeah.
another 30,
Yeah.
then you're at 60 and you're at 40. And an
Hmm.
average rehab costs 30 to 40. So you're not going to offer an investor 10 for the property, right?
Right.
So your
Yep.
numbers have to work for your investors when it comes to
Hmm.
wholesaling.
Hmm.
But we can do a follow-up video on that. I can let you know how that goes.
Yeah.
But 5,800, 6 months, we'll give it a
Nice.
try. It's a brand new channel,
Hmm.
money where your mouth is.
There you go.
And on top of that, yeah, on top of that, we're still doing Facebook.
Hmm.
We don't do cold calling anymore because Z doesn't like to cold call. I really don't like to cold call. We've done it before. We've had some success, but
Hmm.
everyone likes what they like, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
some people like texting, some people
Hmm.
like their mailers, some people like
Hmm.
Facebook,
Yep.
Google. We've done Google before. Haven't had the right person managing the campaign,
Okay.
but that gets really costly because you can pay
Yeah, I'm sure.
50, you can pay 50, $100 a click
Wow.
just for someone to
Jeez.
click on your ad.
Yeah. Jeez.
But we can hop off here. I'll post this up when we're done, or maybe I'll get auto post right about 50 minutes.
One more thing, I kind of what you
Hmm.
were mentioning as far as the mailers go and the postcards. So something that I learned or I heard, I don't know, a few months ago, and it kind of stuck in my head was that so wholesaling is more so just sales and marketing. So when I first was learning about it, when I was first starting out, I was still in the mindset of like real estate investing, because I started acquiring rentals a few years ago, so that's kind of been in my head. But when I learned that wholesaling, like if you think of it more of like marketing and sales, like that's really what it is. So when I heard that, it's like it kind of clicked,
That's
so
all it is.
You could make it.
That's all most businesses are,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean,
especially in the
you can,
service-based business.
yes. Yep. And you can make it into real estate investing if you want to hold it or whatever. But the actual wholesaling transaction, though, that's sales and marketing. So that was
As
pretty
long as
interesting.
you can figure out how to make this thing ring,
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need to do. And
Yep.
if you can't figure out how to make that ring, you better figure out how you can get other people to, how you can contact other people.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it. I mean, you personally, you're used to the I noticed it right away, of course, and I'm not calling you out, but you're
When
used
I
to the
called,
lender side, so you're all professional, you're all,
yeah.
yes sir, blah blah blah. You can just be normal with these people. On the
Yeah.
wholesaling side, you can just be you can be normal,
Hmm.
call them by their name, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
call them man,
Yep.
whatever.
Hey, one more question just came into my head.
Hmm.
Are you still, and I don't know if I'm like breaking a surprise or anything. Are you still doing the cleaning side? Is that
The
still,
cleaning side, yeah,
yeah.
so we're still in the works on that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, one
Nice.
of
Nice.
the and I can show you how that works too. We got to film the ads for it hopefully
Okay.
this week.
Okay.
So
Nice.
everything comes down to marketing and advertising.
Yep.
How are we going to blow this thing up? Well, we need the person in place. So hopefully this week I can sit down and do a hire for that. We're going to film a bunch of different ad creatives, ad copies, get that rolled out on Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
We have our website set up. We're going to push it on Google,
Nice.
and that's it.
Nice.
That's how I did my first business. Not much has changed other than the
Mm-hmm.
cost to actually advertise.
Okay. That's cool. It's really cool how like all your businesses are they're focused around real estate and they're connected too. Like the
Kind
like
of,
your
yeah.
yeah, like your junk removal business. Like even the guy today, he's like, hey, like what would it cost if your junk, if your business came out and removed all the stuff? So that's
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
cool.
he's not going to spend that. Not on that
No, no, no,
junk.
no,
Leave it in
no.
there, bro. We can,
Yeah, but it is
we
cool.
can
Like you have an answer for someone, and your answer is your business, and so it's you're still generating income, whatever avenue you're going in, which is pretty cool.
exactly. Yeah, that's kind of a cool side of it. I loved it. I used to be like, honestly, I used to be embarrassed to tell people what I did. Like
Really?
when I first got started, and then I'm like, you know what? Like, let me just tell them what I do because you don't understand. They're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, I got a college degree, whatever, whatever. But
Yeah.
then now I'm like, okay, here's what I do. I
Yep.
make a shit ton of money doing it. It is
Mm-hmm.
what it is.
Yeah. Yep. You should be on what is that? Dirty Jobs on Discovery.
Dirty jobs. Yeah, some of the jobs that we've done, man, we've done jobs where there's hundreds of mice
Oh,
in a house, like little tiny baby mice in a house
wow.
crawling through McDonald's bags.
Oh man. Damn.
Yeah, we've done some gross stuff.
Jeez. You've seen it all.
We definitely have. But all
Yeah.
right, we're gonna let you get back to being Bill the father
Yeah.
since
Got
you got the baby and whatnot.
dad
And
duties.
appreciate you hopping on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really wish Instagram would have worked because we could have got a bunch more questions,
Mm-hmm.
a bunch more live people hopping in on that. But we'll figure it out. Hit it on the
Yeah,
next one.
definitely. Yeah, no, this is really cool. And yeah, again, thanks for everything you've helped with, so far. I really appreciate everything.
Awesome. Catch you later, Bill.
Alrighty. Thank you so much.